Welcome to the thrilling world of Security Squawk, where we explore cybersecurity. Guiding you through online threats, we'll aid you in understanding safety protocols and trends. Meet our gurus, Brian from Exact IT, Reginald from Arc Solvers, and Randy from Tech Rescue. Together, we'll delve into current events and hot cybersecurity topics, helping you comprehend their impact. Stay informed, stay secure. Security Squawk, the business of cybersecurity. Buckle up, let's dive in.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Security Squawk podcast, the podcast that keeps you up to date on the latest cybersecurity threats and trends. I'm your host, Brian, here with my other fellow cybersecurity experts, Andre and Randy. How are you, gentlemen?
Good, and you?
Tuesday. We're back to our old time.
Oh, look at that. We are. Good point. I'm doing well. Just got back from Mexico. Had a great time. And feeling refreshed and ready to rock and roll. So let's get into it, guys. Today we're diving into a wave of ransomware attacks that have hit various sectors. No coincidence that we're coming off of a big holiday weekend, and here you go with just ransomware attack news after ransomware attack news. So what we're going to be discussing today is breaches in the healthcare world. Two hospitals were victims of cyber attacks recently. One is Jaques Hospital and the other one is PIH Health, both falling victims to ransomware. We're going to explore impact on education as the Highland Park ISD in Texas, a school district in Texas, they're dealing with a ransomware attack. And we're going to also talk about how cybercrime can topple industry giants, as seen with vodka maker Stoli, and what the fallout from their ransomware attack has been. And then up my way in New Jersey, we have the city of Hoboken. For about 2 weeks now, they've been dealing with a concerning attack, as well as a heart surgery device maker who's also dealing with a ransomware attack. Man, the list is long. And then we have these far-reaching implications on a third-party attack, or it's going to turn out to be a third-party supply chain attack on Blue Yonder, which is another SaaS company that's dealing with a breach. In our following up section, stay tuned. You're going to want to know our thoughts on the FBI's warning about messaging apps and why you should use certain ones over others. And we found an interesting little tidbit on what Black Basta had been up to recently. We like to say the name on the podcast a lot, so we figured we'd cover it, right, guys?
Yep.
So buckle up, get ready. This episode is packed. We'll try to get through it in 45 minutes. We'll do our best. Remember, help us grow the show by sharing it. And while we're live, you can comment. And if we see it and we feel like it's relevant, we'll pull it up on the screen and we'll address it. So that's one way you can engage with the three of us. But we always ask you to help us grow our show organically. And if you do that, we won't consider taking ads or annoying you with promotions throughout this podcast. Simply just help us grow the podcast by sharing it out to your friends and family. Either do that on social media or wherever you see us. Like us, leave a comment. Those little things help tell the little algorithms that this is a worthwhile thing and other people should see it too, and then our stuff gets promoted by those platforms. It's pretty simple. So let's get into it, guys. Let's get right into it. We're going to talk about healthcare under siege. We got this Jaques Hospital and PIH Health, both falling victims to a ransomware attack. So I guess we'll take them one by one. What's going on at Jaques, and what are the implications for patient care and patient data? What's going on, guys?
Yeah, so this all started last year, Christmas, exactly December 25th on Christmas Day. The attacker exploited this hospital, especially when you had low staff levels and everybody's just, being with friends and family and so forth like that. And what's interesting with this article that it's talking about is now 1 year later, they're now stating that they're now letting their patients know, surprise, surprise, 310,000 patients, that they had their sensitive health information exposed. What I found interesting about this is that this is an example where the hospital chose not to negotiate. and now we're seeing the implications of the patients now having to now deal with this. And first of all, why did it take a year for them to get this? And because they did not negotiate with the bad guys, the customers and the patients are the one that's going to be left with the pain.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they waited an entire year to let people know. They had an investigation that they launched, and maybe there's some other notification that they did at some point, but who knows? But anyway, now the word's out. If you went there, your stuff has been leaked onto the dark web, it looks like.
Yeah, and they're claiming that it took a year because that's how long it took them to do the investigation, and that they had to manually review each document and each record to see who was affected. So you would think they maybe just do like a rolling update or something, like, hey, we got this group. All right, everybody, please be on the lookout. But I don't know, taking a whole year.
Right.
I mean, if you don't, but that as a cyber security person who's dealt with these types of things, when it takes this long, it just means first off, not only did it take this long, it probably cost them a ton of money to figure it out, and they had to, but they didn't have the right things in place to give them the telemetry. So they kind of had to reconstruct it, right? Which is really expensive for somebody who knows what they're doing to do. Probably cost them 100 times more. And I'm not just saying that as a number. It probably cost them 100 times more to figure this out. Had they just invested in the right tools in the beginning that would have kind of told them this information when it happened, right? So I guess people are like, what is Brian talking about right now? Guys, what am I talking about? Like, what could this hospital put in place so it didn't take them an entire year to figure out what these criminals got their hands on?
Log management, something that just basically says, was the file open? Was it copied and pasted? Was it uploaded to the cloud, or whatever the case is?
And so isn't that required to be kept for a year if it's medical? Or is that just some medical practices are required for that? Because I know there's a lot that are required, and maybe I don't know the actual nuance of why, but they're required to keep their records for a year.
Well, it depends on their compliance requirements. I mean, there's HIPAA requirements, but not every healthcare organization falls under HIPAA. So there's that. So
and they could have also been still dealing with restoring the systems. So if you've got a hospital with that big, it may have just taken you 4 months just to restore. And then now that you restored, now you're like, all right, what did they get?
yes, that will be definitely. I don't disagree with you that if it took them that long to restore, then they would have to. It would take them a while to reconstruct and rebuild. We don't have any information on the restoration process. It was kind of just like the whole thing was. It took them this long. Is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So, and then that was PHI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what's going on at these? Good.
That was actually the first one on a Jaques hospital.
Well, they're both dealing with the same thing.
Okay, but you had also asked just what we can do, and if I just add a comment on to the whole log thing, having that in place beforehand allows you, if you have it set up correctly, allows you to just look at the data and see what went out, see what was leaked, see what was dealt with. This could have been handled. I mean, that's obviously where all this is going. This could have been handled so much faster had they already had that in place beforehand.
So that was a ransomware attack that happened last year, and kind of what this organization is dealing with the fall. And on PHI Health, their nonprofit healthcare network in California, they fell victim to a ransomware attack 9 days ago. in early December of 2024, and this has significantly disrupted their network and IT systems. This has affected multiple facilities, including Health Downey Hospital, PHI Health Good Samaritan Hospital, PHI Health Whittier Hospital. All their urgent care centers, physicians' offices, and home health and hospice services have been impacted. The compromised critical systems included patient health records, lab systems, pharmacy, radiology, patient registration, as well as other IT tools and internet access. While the emergency rooms and urgent care centers remain operational, many services are disrupted. So they'll like let you sit in the waiting room, but if they don't have what you need available, they're probably sending you away. Phone services have been affected with calls from Downey and Whittier facilities being redirected to Good Samaritan Hospital. PHI Health has engaged third-party cyber forensic specialists to investigate the extent of the attack and determine if any patient data was compromised. As of December 9, 2024, the systems have not been fully restored, and the investigation was ongoing, and the FBI is involved in the criminal investigation. So essentially, if we can relate the two stories, PHI Health is where the Anna Jaques was last year, right? So now they're starting to put together the story of what was touched and whatever, and we'll see how long it takes for them to release that information to the public. But it's kind of been a growing trend, guys, with hospital systems to take this long or take a significant period of time to release this information. We can sit here and speculate why that is, but it does usually take these hospitals the better part of 6 months to a year to come out with what has been actually stolen and accessed by these criminals. Anything else you guys want to add on this one?
It's just never, it's never a good thing, obviously, because it'll probably end up in patient data getting released. And then also, this is a pretty complicated network, it appears. There's a lot of different systems and subsystems that are affected. So this is going to be a huge mess, man. So not good.
Always is. Always is. Hopefully they can get back up on their feet quickly, because the longer these hospitals tend to be down, the more it impacts the community and the individuals that live in those communities. So hope for the best there. So our next story, guys, takes us to Randy's state of Texas, the Lone Star State, where Highland Park Independent School District in Texas has fallen victim to a ransomware attack. The incident, which occurred in early December of 2024, has caused significant disruption to the district operations, and it highlights the growing trend of cybercriminals targeting educational institutions. Let's delve into how this attack has impacted students, staff, and the broader community, and explore challenges faced by school districts in an increasingly digital educational landscape. So, anything unique about this particular attack that you guys are reading before I kind of go into like a general discussion about what school districts can do?
There was nothing unique, but I'd say timing is important here, because you got midterms before the school year is over. A lot of them do it before December, before the break is over. And if you're a parent, get some credit monitoring for your kids.
So why does a ransomware attack on a school district differ from attacks on businesses? Why do cyber criminals go after schools?
Because there's a lot of data there, and it's a lot of future data, if you will. But if they can get a hold of like a child's stuff that involves their identity now, like social security numbers, things like that, they can start opening credit accounts in their name, which is why Andre mentioned the whole get credit monitoring for your children. But they can do all kinds of stuff with a name and a social security number. They can build out a whole quote unquote life for that person that makes the criminals a lot of money. And they could also cross, I know you're about to say something, sorry, but they could also cross-reference with information about their parents from like AT&T, T-Mobile, who knows where else, from some of those gigantic leaks, cross-reference, and use that to create emails, hey, your child was involved in a blah, 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 that anything that can strike fear or panic or whatever in a parent will get them to do something stupid. So it's a treasure trove basically for the bad guys.
And what do we have? What potential, or I guess let me ask the question this way. We've seen enough of these attacks against these schools and school districts where we know what happens on the back end of this. So what do you guys think is going to happen here in terms of the district's technology infrastructure and their budget? Is this one of those things where they'll just invest a little bit more, or do you think that this is where this particular school district will go from like spending almost nothing to trying to find all kinds of money to protect their students' information moving forward?
I mean, it's my camera just went off, but it's actually both. I could see it where you're going to have situations where they are going to all of a sudden find the money in the budget, and then you'll have other situations where they don't learn from their mistakes, and we're going to see them on the news again.
Thoughts, Randy?
Yeah, re-ask your question. I got distracted by his.
Do you feel like this is going to be one of those situations where we see this school district just dump a bunch of money towards cybersecurity?
Man, there is.
You usually see.
Well, there's no telling. So first off, this is one of the wealthier, if not the wealthiest school districts in Texas.
Okay.
But also,
where is it?
It's in near North Dallas.
Not Fort Worth?
No. It's like directly north of downtown, like 5 miles, maybe 4 miles. Might be less than that, but it's around 5 miles. But it's one of the, probably, if not the richest, one of the richest school districts in the state. But Texas has a kind of a share the wealth thing. So the more expensive districts, money's taken away. The more poor districts are given that money. It's called the Robin Hood plan. And it may be that Highland Park doesn't have a crap ton of money to throw at this problem. So to answer your question, there's no telling, because when you get a school district, I've known people that have gone there, were involved in sports there. Like they didn't have the kind of sports that they had at some of the other districts because of money getting taken away, not because of lack of wealth, but money that was taken away. So you just don't know in this situation is really what it boils down to.
But I do know what we are going to start seeing: regular cybersecurity drills. So just like they have a drill for tornadoes or hurricanes or shooting or anything like that, you're going to now see offline learning days where, hey, if your internet did go out, how do we continue to provide education to the students when we're always, depending on books and things like that. So the teachers now, in addition to everything else they have to deal with, now have to be ready to still provide education to the students with no internet, no phones, no technology.
Just curious, where do you see? Are you seeing that now?
No. I say that's something that we're probably going to start seeing, because we got to prepare the teachers.
I didn't know if you were seeing it
already. Oh, no. But that's like, just imagine the school said, because the school is not going to tell. For the most part, they're not going to turn away the students unless
makes sense. What you're saying makes complete sense, because it should be part of the plan. And if they're testing the plan, you would be accurate, right? If you have to develop a plan and you have to test the plan, then you're going to see exactly what Andre's playing out. Anyone care to predict how long it'll be before that's prevalent in our schools?
I don't know, but I'm buying the domain cyberdrills.com right now.
Of course you are, Mr. Capitalist over there. All right, cool. So anything else you guys want to talk about with this particular attack? I mean, I know it stinks for a school and your kids to be out, and I believe that's why these cyber criminals attack these school districts, is because they know the parents want their kids back in school, and that's the thing that the cyber criminals absolutely love to prey on is, hey, you need to get back up and running quickly. So pay us, and we can make that happen. So we'll see how it plays out with this school district. Randy will certainly keep us abreast of it since he's in the area, so to speak. But we will definitely follow up and let everyone know what happens to this school district in Texas. So we got another interesting one here, guys. This vodka maker Stoli is dealing with a ransomware attack. And unfortunately, their business is not doing well as a result, and they are blaming the ransomware attack as the reason they had to file for bankruptcy for probably one of the most popular vodkas out there, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I know the name. So the details of what's going on here is an August 2024 ransomware attack severely disrupted their IT infrastructure. I'm pretty sure we covered this on the show. Now that I think about it, and now I know the date was August. I thought it was more recent. And it wiped out their enterprise resource planning system, their ERP. And we talk about this all the time with these third-party systems that people rely on in their business to run. And I don't know if this ERP was necessarily third-party, but I can't imagine they developed their own. The cyber attack forced manual operations across the company, affecting key processes such as accounting, with full recovery not expected until early of 2025. So, Andre, you kind of mentioned this earlier with how long it took that hospital to get back up and running. Well, here's an example of a major company that's going to be well over 6 months before they're fully back up and running. The attack prevented Stoli from providing financial reports to lenders, leading to claims of defaulting on about $78 million in debt, right? So, hey, we can't pay you because we don't have any money because we can't run our systems to do everything we need to do. Okay. Well, just show us that you're financially healthy, and we'll rework your debt. Oh, we can't. Well, now you're kind of messing with the bank's ability to comply with regulators when you can't do these things, and they then can't offer you loans. Russian authorities seized 2 of Stoli's distilleries valued at $100 million in July of 2024. I guess that also compounded to the bankruptcy. And the company faced declining demand for its product, inflation, and a dispute with their lender, Fifth Third Bank. Stoli and its founder were designated as extremists by Russian authorities due to their support for Ukrainian refugees. So what do you think's going on here, guys? I mean, it seems like they got into a spat with Russia.
Yep.
I mean, they are a U.S.-based group, even though it sounds like it's Russian vodka. So it sounds like they got hit with kind of like the perfect storm, or somebody in Russia said, go hit these guys. Because 1 month after Russia basically pulled the rug out from under them, they got hit with ransomware. It doesn't seem to be a coincidence. Do you think so?
It probably was not. Probably were targeted. We know the Russian government is involved in cyber espionage against other nations, other businesses, and specifically against businesses and nations that are involved in Ukraine. So it wouldn't be surprising at all. And, my philosophy is, what's the most simple answer? A lot of times that is the answer. And that does seem like that would be a pretty most likely thing to happen. So good insight there. I literally hadn't thought about that other than a passing thought.
Yep. Andre, any thoughts here?
I mean, I just want to.
You're a big Russian vodka guy.
No. I just want to kind of go back to that ERP system they're using. So you got a company valued at about $750 million, and there's no testing of your ERP system. Like, that should be someone's full-time job. where they're, always making sure that if one system doesn't work or if there's a ransomware or whatever the case is. That still amazes me, because if you're using like Oracle or Microsoft Dynamics or one of those tools, yes, you still have to configure it correctly, but they make it pretty easy to make it cloud to cloud backup and restoration. So for them to say 2025, that's unacceptable if I'm the CEO.
Of course it's unacceptable, but how many times have we said that and then seen both the CEO keep his job and just kind of everything kind of just keep moving like nothing ever happened, in 3-4 months. So
if someone has $78 million, you could go get you a $700 million company right now, apparently. Hopefully they'll work through all of these issues. One of the main reasons this article stuck out for me is it's just another thing we don't ever connect with a ransomware attack, but the very real reality that a ransomware attack can lead to bankruptcy. It happens a lot more than anybody wants to admit, and this is just another example of it.
Yeah, we'll see if this company survives. I mean, some companies can make it out of bankruptcy. Others need to kind of sell off and sell to a competitor or another entity. So we'll see. This is just kind of like another step as this group works through it. But this is a big company that should be able to withstand something like this. It seems like they've had a lot of challenges prior to the ransomware attack, and the ransomware attack is the nail in the coffin. But just think about that for a second. There's a lot of businesses right now who are going through what feels like a recession in their industry and their business. And, maybe they've had to cut staff recently. Maybe they're just not seeing as much new business as they used to, right? And you could probably get through it, assuming everything. But what if you get hit with a ransomware attack, right? Will that be the, proverbial, Mike Tyson blow, or just that one thing is just enough to send you over the edge and put you into bankruptcy? So think about it, assess your risk, and reach out to a cybersecurity professional who can help you understand that risk.
Brian, you're going to hate my jokes, but was that a Mike Tyson, Jake Paul blow, or was that a Holyfield blow?
Oh, Holyfield, huh? You had to bring that one up, right?
And I would also say, businesses have this whole mentality. A lot of businesses are bootstrapping their growth. They're living like pirates. In that they're just basically have what they have and they're making it happen. Flip side of that, something like a ransomware attack could be enough to push them over the edge because they don't have tons of extra cash laying around, especially in startup phase.
That's right. No doubt. And how many startups are like, oh, we're not at that point in our business yet where we need to be doing that. All the time. All the time I hear that. It's crazy. All right, good stuff. Anything else before we move on? Cool. So City of Hoboken. Hoboken's a pretty well-known city in New Jersey. It's literally right across the river from Manhattan. A lot of young people move there, who are working in the city. At least that's how it used to be before CV. But City of Hoboken fell victim to a ransomware attack on November 27th, 2024. Was that the day before Thanksgiving? Causing significant disruptions in city services. So this Russian-linked ransomware group called 3 a.m. has claimed responsibility for the attack. We know sensitive data has been stolen, which includes the social security numbers, driver's licenses, payroll information, health records, and the personal details of city workers and some residents. City Hall was closed. Online services were suspended. Their website is actually still down because when I was researching for the show, I stumbled upon their website and it was still just one message on there about the attack. Some services have been restored, but email and Wi-Fi are still being recovered. There's a dedicated call center to address concerns that cost money. They're offering free credit monitoring and identity protection services, which also cost money. Hoboken is working with federal law enforcement, the police department, and IT specialists to investigate the incident and restore services. And residents are encouraged to monitor their personal accounts for any unusual activity and to contact the city departments by phone while some systems remain affected. The full extent of the breach is still under investigation. The city continues to work on recovering the systems and securing its digital infrastructure. So, guys, what do you think on this one?
This just, for me, shows how bold these cyber criminals are. Because, if you're hitting a government agency, they're going to automatically get FBI help, state law enforcement, and investigators and such, versus our small companies where we'll be happy if, we can even leave a message on the FBI's voicemail that it's not full. So that just shows how brazen they are, that they know it's a city. They still do the ransomware, knowing that, nothing's going to happen to us, even with the resources that they're going to have after the fact. And another thing I would say is, if I am a city mayor, commissioner, city manager, the question I'm asking is, can this happen to my city? And am I prepared?
Yeah, and it's this is more common than we want to admit. I think we've seen it over and over and over and over, where government facilities, government entities, cities, everything, counties, we've just seen it over and over. That it's a lot more prevalent than we want to admit. I think it's a common thing going on in our world in general, where people just are not prepared for this kind of thing. And I really what I want to know is, what did they have in place before? Because what I'm imagining, about a mile from here, we have a gigantic outlet store. It's the third most visited destination in Texas, like 5 million visitors a year. And man, the auto thieves love that place. They're not going through the parking lot, smashing in windows and clipping alarms and doing fancy stuff. They're just going through and finding cars that are unlocked, and then they steal them. And I wonder, like, in the case of all these cities, are we looking at cities that aren't doing anything, that have maybe an antivirus on their machines and that's it? Or are we looking at cities that are they're fully protected, as the three of us would define that, and then they're still getting ransomware? That's what I really want to know. Like, how protected were they before all this happened?
We will never know. But hopefully they do a better job the next time around. So a couple of things. I'm just reading kind of some more articles while you were talking to Randy and blowing through some. It definitely seems like the city and the mayor are handling this much better than the city of Columbus, which I've at least said on the podcast has been handled poorly for a very long time when that city was hit with ransomware. They're using the Nixle system to notify residents, which is good. The mayor, Ravi Bahala, has been providing updates on social media platforms such as X. They have that call center set up, as I mentioned. And they, news outlets are reporting the information, trying to help spread information to residents. So they're getting the information to the residents. So, Columbus struggled with that in the beginning. And Columbus was like, hey, no data was stolen. It was encrypted. Don't have to worry. It's not a big deal. And then it turned into a big deal. These guys are coming right out of the gate going like, yeah, we know what was stolen and it's not good. So they're being upfront and transparent, which is, I think, immensely important. And they did the basic stuff. They brought in the feds. They shut down the computer systems, brought in cyber experts, offering credit monitoring right off the bat, offering identity protection right off the bat. I guess one of the things I'm not seeing, and it does say they moved the municipal court and police-related business to other facilities. It's a very densely populated area, so I'm sure they're sharing services with close towns and things like that at this point. But one of the things, that I'm not seeing is what at some point they're going to start seeing phishing attempts and emails coming from these criminals to residents or employees. So it'd be nice for them to provide updates around that as soon as they are aware of those types of activities and what people should be looking out for in terms of maybe SMS or email or phishing messages that might be going out to try to, turn residents and employees of Hoboken into, victims, right? So, it sucks, unfortunate. So, anything else you guys want to add before we move on here?
Yeah, I was looking at, one of the blogs we looked at, I guess in the green room, the Hoboken girl. I don't know if you were looking at that at all during while we were talking, but some of the stuff that's been taken, it's all the usual suspects: social security numbers, driver licenses, payroll, health information, personal information. It includes dozens who applied for rental assistance during the pandemic. All this stuff can just be used so against people. And I'm
not only that, I mean, look, we know the kind of information they asked for in that process. It was,
there was a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And so now you have I'm thinking of elderly people, especially who, they don't know what a nixle is and how to maybe find all this, or maybe they're not watching the news or who knows what. But then they're going to be sitting ducks for some of this stuff. Somebody will just call them or send them an email or whatever and turn into phishing. Anyway, that's it.
Appreciate it, Randy. So let's move on here. We got 9 minutes to get the rest of the show in. Art. I'm going to have trouble with this one, boys. RTVion, I guess. A leading manufacturer of heart surgery and medical devices suffered a ransomware attack on November 21st, 2024, right before Thanksgiving, caused significant disruptions in key operations, forced the company to take certain systems offline, disrupted order processing, shipping, and some corporate operations. Sounds a lot like Stoli. Attackers encrypted files, exfiltrated data from compromised systems. They immediately initiated an investigation and engaged external advisors, including legal, cybersecurity, and forensic professionals to assess, contain, and remediate the incident. The company is working to restore its systems, evaluate any notification obligations to potentially affected parties. That evaluation probably should have took place before the event. While the company believes the attack has not had a material impact on its overall financial condition or operational results, it anticipates incurring additional costs related to the incident, some of which may not be covered by insurance. We're going to go back to this one in a second. The company continues to provide products and services to consumers, stating that most disruptions have been mitigated. So, systems offline, disrupted processing and shipping, yet they can still push product and it's not going to impact sales, but they're just going to have increased costs. Are you buying it?
I hope these devices can't go online and later on they find a vulnerability or something like that and just, wreak havoc on that.
You're hoping that it doesn't turn
they can't, because it's too soon for them to know as far as what exactly did they take, what they're going to do with it, and so forth like that. But we're talking heart machines that cannot fail. They can't make mistakes.
True. Go ahead, Randy.
Well, I was just going to say, like I always say, I mean, it's always about the money, and so we don't know yet what's going to come out of this as far as, is it ransomware, not ransomware? They're going to be demands, whatever. Have they, messed up some proprietary information, messed with code, sold code? There's a lot of options here. It'll all boil down to how can they make money off of it? And, so most likely this company's going to end up at least being asked by the criminals to pay a pretty large ransom towards this.
Yeah, I think so too. And unfortunately, this just reads to me like a bunch of people who don't know what they're talking about. And I think we're going to find out that it's more than just increased costs from this event. So,
and there we go. We're talking about startups just a little while ago. Maybe you're a startup. You don't think you're in the stage yet where you need protection. If you're a startup, you most likely have some kind of proprietary something.
Is this a startup?
I don't know. I assume it was because I never heard of them before.
Well, I don't know who they are, so I can't say. So, but if it was a startup, geez, I mean, you're just you know, it feels like a lot of ignorance here, and I don't know why that is, in my opinion. But if they're a startup, that explains the ignorance.
Yeah, and they're probably not, because I didn't see the part that said they have 1,250 people worldwide.
You know, there still could be a startup. You never know. Do your research before you make a comment. Like
no kidding, right?
Get me all riled up. Boo Yonder, guys, major supply chain software provider, fell victim to a ransomware attack in November of 2024. Same date, November 21st. Go ahead.
Blue Yonder, what's that? I thought it was Starbucks.
Right? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Everybody says Starbucks.
Yeah, that is a good point. I did cover that on my own YouTube channel. This was, if you read the news, CNN, I remember popping open CNN right after this happened. CNN was like, Starbucks hacked. And yeah, Starbucks wasn't really hacked. They just, they run with those kind of clickbaity type things. But when you use a third-party provider and it impacts a material piece of your business, you're going to kind of get dragged through the mud, along with your partner. Unfortunately, it's kind of how it works right now. Not fair, but it is what it is. So Blue Yonder's managed services hosting environment was disrupted on November 21st, 2024. The Termite ransomware gang has claimed responsibility for the breach. Wow, what a name.
Right.
680 gigabytes of data stolen, including a database dump, 1,600 emails, 200,000 documents, and insurance documents. Starbucks was forced to manually process payroll. Grocery store chains in the UK, like Morrison and Sainsbury, experienced warehouse management system issues. And they did the typical stuff, engaging cyber experts, and the company is working to restore affected systems. And Termite, they're new on the scene. They popped up in about mid-October. And it's thought that they're using some of Babook's ransomware stuff. So it could be related. But here we go again. Another supply chain piece of software impacting multiple businesses around the world. Thoughts?
So do we know much about the termite group?
I don't. I've been in Mexico on vacation, so I've been looking into it.
And part of this follow-up article on this had to do with that was who was rumored before to be the gang that was behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's been confirmed that they're the gang behind it. And this particular software, Blue Yonder, has apparently over 3,000 customers, including Microsoft, Renault, Bayer, Tesco, Lenovo, DHI, 3M. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. A lot of big customers that they have. So pretty big deal.
Yeah, one thing about this group called Termite is that they're known to do double extortion. So if Blue Yonder is not paying, look out, Starbucks and DHL and 7-Eleven. Someone's going to be knocking on your door saying they got a lot of your data. What do you want to do?
They try that. We'll see how it goes. It hasn't really worked, so I don't know if they're going to. I'd be surprised if they try, because it's been tried like 3, 4, 5 times before, and it doesn't
Apple,
really.
Right?
What?
I think we did one about Apple one time with double extortion.
And it's happened quite a few times since. And the big companies, they don't pay, and rightfully so. It's not, at the end of the day, their responsibility. It's the company who was hacked, and you have ways to deal with that through your contracts with that partner, I'm sure. So that's that. So we got 2 minutes left. I want to cover this whole telecom FBI warning. Probably won't have time to jump into the Black Bass, though, so we'll cover that next week. This FBI came out in the last week or so, guys, issuing an urgent warning to basically everybody in the United States with a cell phone. Whether it's Android or iPhone, users have been warned against the security of their communication, particularly with text messaging. So to kind of summarize, the FBI is basically saying that the Salt Typhoon group has infiltrated AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile so badly that you can't trust the SMS app on your phone anymore. So we recommend that you use, or not we, the show, the FBI recommends that you use a third-party messaging app. Furthermore, they specifically said use WhatsApp. So there's other ones out there like Signal or Facebook Messengers also has end-to-end encryption now. But Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp are kind of like one and the same because they're owned by the same company. And we can get into who owns what and why. I think Telegram's another one, guys, that can be used. But in our world and in the dark web world, there's a lot of speculation and has been for a long time about the security of these apps. So let's get into it real quick. What are your guys' thoughts on this bulletin? And should we take this warning seriously and move to these apps, or is there something else behind this?
I personally think yes, we should take these warnings seriously. Obviously, you need to use your own brain anytime, your government tells you what to do. But this is, they don't just go around throwing out warnings for no reason. And if the FBI says that the Chinese can probably see your text messages, they can probably see your text messages because they don't really benefit from not telling us this information. So yeah, I think it's a bona fide threat. And, I don't think that they're trying to secretly get you to use WhatsApp or whatever, but anyway, this is a big deal. And we've been reading about this. We've mentioned it on the show off and on as information has come out. But we know that there are some Chinese hackers or whatever you want to call it that are embedded, it appears, in some of these telecom companies. They're probably in the process of getting them rooted out right now,
So much to say, so little time. First is if it's such an, okay, first of all, if you have something that you need to text to somebody and it's a passport, it's a driver license, anything sensitive, text message shouldn't be the first one, right? So first, educate your citizens. That's not the proper way. Second is if it is such a national security, and I know Randy's answer, why don't you just basically tell the providers, this is how you fix it, help the providers fix it, or stop text messaging until it gets fixed?
So what you're saying is if it's not fixable, remove the damn apps from the phone and just make WhatsApp messaging app.
Yeah, until AT&T, Verizon gets their apps.
Because nobody's going to take this in their own hands. Like if people want easy, people want, exactly what I said. Take away the default messaging app on the damn phones and force them into that, and then people will adopt it. But manually or voluntarily telling people to change something when they probably really don't understand the risk at the end of the day, it's too easy to text message people, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah, that's it. All right.
Yeah. All right, we got to go. We got things to do. Appreciate your inputs. See you guys next week. Remember, share the show. Take care, everyone. Stay safe out there.